Hey, it's me, Dylan. If you don't know who I am already, I am a South Dakota comic book artist and resident artist who visits different schools and communities and teaches people about the craft of making comics. And this is sort of a year-end video to kind of wrap up what the hell just happened in 2016, how we got here, and where we're going in 2017. And this is kind of a patron appreciation thing for those of you who support me on Patreon. So you're going to be getting this about 2 or 3 days earlier than everyone else. So congratulations on that, I guess, if this video is all that amazing. Maybe you'll love it. Anyway, I like to do things without a ton of editing, so let's just jump into it. So what happened in 2016? Well, I think it's best if we take ourselves back in time to January of 2014. Yes, over 2 years ago, I was sitting in a call center working as a resolution specialist, which means I took phone calls from clients who were so terrible that we couldn't actually have our regular representatives handle them. They had to come to me, or a few other people like me. And what we wound up having to do in that situation was I dealt with crappy people, and I didn't like my life very much. But that doesn't matter nearly as much as what happens next. I quit that job. Sure, I certainly thought there were things lined up, but I wound up unemployed for like 8 months. It was kind of crazy. I mean, I did a few part-time gigs, but I really had no employment. So the goal at that point was, okay, I'm going to focus on being an artist. And my Patreon, which I think I signed up for in the late 2013, someone at Patreon could probably back me up on that or dispute that, but in early 2014 I started to really use it. My goal was to fund this webcomic called Little Alice, and Little Alice didn't get very far because I really didn't know what I was doing, but it was a really cool springboard because I got to use that springboard to teach kids at Washington High School at the anime club that I helped start when I was 18. So I'd finally gone back after about 6 years and learned that there's a lot about storytelling that I knew that I didn't know when I was working on that project, that I needed to reevaluate things so I could make the project better. Or, as I ultimately wound up doing, abandoning that project for another one. So, 2015 rolls around, and I'm working at this web design company, and I have decided I'm going to take this video series I had been doing called The Good Fight, which was mostly about me losing weight, and convert that into how to be a living artist sort of thing, whatever. And it started to explain my internal struggles, because I had gone through a lot of things that were particularly negative in my life, and I was trying to reevaluate who I was as a person, what I was about. And I converted that video series into a comic on Patreon called The Good Fight as well. And that's when I started to see patrons rise. Because in 2014, I made $7 a month. And then in 2015, I started to see an increase. And by 2016, I had hit $100 a month, which was crazy. It's a huge deal for just some kid from South Dakota. So here I was doing this comic, and I started to get really cool followers like Amy Jarding and other artists in my community. And not only my mom, but other people like Heidi and Nicole and Jordan and Rob Melling from the Sioux Falls, or Sioux Empire podcast, started jumping on board when I started working on all this stuff. But the thing that was really big in 2015 was I had left Little Alice behind, and I had started focusing on this thing called The Tide That Returns. It was a seafaring tale about a sailmaster who was based on me, trying to navigate the difficulties of life's waters through a seafaring metaphor. Anyway, I wound up abandoning that when my friend Mark Wagner was like, dude, and Mark is a pretty cool comic artist in this area as well, Mark goes, dude, you need to make a zine. And I was like, am I really cut out to make a zine? I mean, I'm doing events on sidewalks, I'm drawing people for cash, but am I really cut out for this work? And he said, yes. So go down to Rainbow Comics and see if they want you to make a zine, and if they want to carry it. And I said, well, okay. And I went down there with my briefcase full of stuff, sat it down, opened it up, started handing stuff to Brian, and he looked at me. And he said, you don't want to make a zine. In that moment, I felt kind of crushed. He goes, no. You don't want to make a zine. You want to make a comic book. So take this stuff out of here and go home and make a comic book. Come back with that. And make sure it's out on May 7th, 2016, because that's free comic book day, and we'll have a thing. And I did that. I immediately, expeditiously texted my friends Chad and Travis and said, holy crap, I'm making a comic book. I'm going to put Tide That Returns on hold so we can focus on this. I had applied for the Arts Council to see if maybe I could be a resident artist and go from teaching at community classes like I had been in 2014 and 2015 to teaching in a real setting. And I said, as a 27-year-old man, here are my 2 goals. I would like to have 1 book out and teach 1 real class by the time I'm 35, because everything I've heard on podcasts like Creative Trek and things like that is you need to have a goal for when you're 35, because if you haven't made it at 35, then you may need to reevaluate your goals. Well, I had my first book out in 2016. When I was 28, I started teaching with the Arts Council. When I was 28 because of you guys. I mean, really, like, my patrons really cemented who I was, and you said, you know, you're driving towards something good because we launched this thing called Champions. And Champions was a story that removed me from it and kind of imposed things about me on these other characters that weren't just me. It wasn't so masturbatory. So we went ahead and did that. And Champions rolled out, the first issue came out, and I diligently worked my ass off in February to get that thing drawn, because I took that entire month out of my life to just draw that comic. Because I was dealing with some heavy crap. Yeah, relationship crap. But anyway, it was a good way to avoid having to deal with it. So I wasn't really managing myself. And then time came where the book came out, and I, got accepted to the Arts Council, and I had all this stuff that I ever wanted. And turns out credits did not begin to roll. And I didn't know how to react to that. And I'm always talking about hope and doing the right thing. Those are the two things that Champions is really about, is knowing that sometimes the right thing isn't always the easiest. And I suck at asking for help. But here I have all these people supporting me, and so everyone kind of wants to get involved, and no one's really sure, like, where's issue 2? We said this was coming along, and I really couldn't draw it all summer, because one of the biggest weird things about being an artist is you have to live some life. Now, you can go ahead and be a programmer, which is great. You're going to be providing a magnificent service to thousands of people, but you can really do that without having to live a lot of life. Same as being a web designer and things like that. I really don't have to live life to give you your product that you asked for, but I do have to live life to develop a product that's never been seen before. Tough, I know. So here I am living life, realizing that I kind of have this sort of post-Kurt Cobain, like post-project depression, because I had everything I wanted way early, and I didn't know how to react to that. So it sunk me pretty hard, and like I said, I didn't know how to ask for help, so it took me a long time. But then I, with the South Dakota Arts Council, wound up in Vermilion teaching in the basement of a church with my new good friend Altman Studeni, who we lived in this sort of Walden-esque situation where we're in this decrepit basement with no shower and barely any running water, and we had to do all of this stuff on our own, and we started to talk a lot, and we unpacked a lot of my life. And just like I had done with a life coach when I was making my exit from the call center, kind of helped me get back on my feet. So the end of July was spent kind of rebuilding that, and August was kind of purging myself as a person, and September was re-solidifying who I was, and October we just kind of slammed it into full gear and said I'm going forward with everything. But I got a ton of residencies at the end of the year, so I had a lot of work to do and a lot of crap to do. And I didn't have a ton of time to work on Champions, so my tentative release date of Black Friday is clearly behind us, and it's really not going to come out before the new year, which is a really big shame because I really wanted it to happen. But the thing is, with deadlines, just like I teach the students that I teach at the South Dakota Arts Council, is you have to be able to accept failure. I missed a deadline. I totally did. And the thing we need to do when we miss a deadline is, yes, we have to accept a failure, but the goal isn't to always accept that we'll miss a deadline. The goal is to accept that we missed a deadline and reassess why we missed it and the things we could do differently to make them more approachable next time. And I haven't given you a solid deadline on Champions issue 2, and here's why. My goal is January 31st, 2017, to have it finished drawing, send it off to Lacey, get out as soon as possible, and potentially have issue 3 out for Free Comic Book Day. Holy shit, I know that's a lot. But that's the goal, but I haven't said that yet because I really haven't had a chance to start drawing, because I've been working a ton with all of these students, because, quite frankly, my patrons gave me these glowing letters of recommendation to get into the Arts Council. With the Arts Council, I do some really cool things. Like, I take these themes of hope and determination and this drive that you can create whatever you want with whatever knowledge you have now, and I'm going to give you the tools to go make it. And that's what we bring to people, is this incredible, tool of harnessing their own creativity. That's what I'm capable of doing, and that's what I'm out there doing all the time. So this wouldn't be possible without my patron community, which is why I keep talking about them. But so that became very busy, and I'm trying to wrap up these books because I provide each school with a book of student work if they give it everything scanned for me. So I'm working on a couple of those. My goal is to get all those done by the end of this week and then have the entire book finished by the end of January. I know that's kind of a long time after I said I would get it done, but I want to be able to draw a lot faster. And that sounds really difficult because I'm working with the Arts Council and I'm working with the Washington Pavilion. I'm trying to do a bunch of things independently, and not everything gets to mesh perfectly, So the reason I'm talking about all of this is because these are some goals I want to evaluate for 2017. One of them being I want to work independently entirely by the end of the year, which is going to be really interesting. So I'm trying to get a lot more residencies and working in lots of different programs. I've applied for the South Dakota Humanities Council because I feel like I could be a good speaker. Look, I just keep talking. And I've been podcasting, so I wanted to reevaluate some of that because I haven't seen my podcasting partner DJ in a long time. DJ, if you see this, I miss you. Let's work something out. I kind of want to transition that into a video series too, so that's going to be a little different. And I'd only like to do it once a month at this point because I really don't have a ton of time if I'm going to work on that. Because I would like to get issues 2, 3, and maybe 4 out next year. Crazy. Right? Let's get a ton of crap done. But I also want to get like 1 or 2 residencies every month. So those are weeks where I'm insanely busy and over-encumbered by cool student stuff. That is stuff that I need to be over-encumbered with because that's stuff that's helping me grow and helping me make stories that you can enjoy. And you're helping me make those things by supporting me online or going to events or just hanging out and having a good time. So these are things where I'm revamping and getting towards doing because the thing is, I could have taken a whole month out of my life, ignored the stuff I was going through and drawn the comic like I did last time, but the thing is it was going to build up forever and ever. And I had to be able to address it. So I did that. And here we are, and I'm working towards it. So that's a big deal, right? And I'm trying to get residencies outside of the state. I'm doing a lot of work for that. So that's where I've been. And that's why there hasn't been a ton of stuff on the table. But there's a lot of goals for 2017. So January 31st. You can hold me to it. New goal for the Deadliner Champions issue 2 to be finished, drawing it off to Lacey. We'll see how quickly she can get that done. I would like to get issue 3 ready before Free Comic Book Day, if at all possible, and then we'll see where issue 4 is at with that. Because there's one other thing I'm working on. I've got a lot of writing to work on because I've been doing some writing for some newspapers. I just had something come out in Dubuque, in Iowa. And I also want to work on another comic, because if you've seen the poster that's coming out for this holiday, I have a comic book proposal in my mind that reflects on the stuff that got a lot of you on board in the first place, which is talking about me and my personal life, which is why the poster is called This Is My Private Life, which is the name of a comic book that involves this little rabbit character that everybody's seen, that everybody seems to really like, and students seem to dig him because I draw him all the time. So it's a way for me to revive the good fight in a way that isn't directly my face, so I can get really personal with it. And I want to make that a graphic novel. And I think I can do that next year, on top of all this other stuff. I know, well, maybe I could do like a page a week or something. We'll work that out. That's something that I'm really working on. So if you go to my my happy hour on Thursday night, which is just 2 nights away, these are things we can talk about and how we're going to go about making this happen. And I'm at $130 a month on Patreon, which is crazy because I started at $7 in 2014. And my goal is to get to 200 by the end of the year, which likely isn't going to happen at this point, but it's still something we can strive for, because we're building this dream of bringing to people these ideas of hope and doing the right thing through telling stories and teaching. And I'm doing a lot of the teaching, which is a really a really solid, good thing that I need to keep working on, but I need to reevaluate how I'm going about these things, because timing is becoming a big deal. So these are things I'm laying on the table as the week goes on, because I'd like to get all these books done this week and then just start working on drawing champions for a little while, because it needs to get done. Crazy, I know. It's 2 books. 2 issues, at least, in the year, and working on a book, and maybe a 4th issue, and doing some writing, and doing residencies. I'm not going to have time for this day job, so I'm trying to get more patronage, because these are the things we really have to offer, is I bring this idea of drive and potential to these students, to these people, regardless of whatever age they are, that you can get up and you can have your dream and you can fight for it, but you have to fight. This isn't something you can just slide into. And so this living the good fight is something we're always working on. And so I think what I'm really driving at here is I want to thank everybody. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to thank you all by name. I have my Patreon page pulled up on my computer over here. I'm recording on my iPhone over here. And I'm just going to reference each of you and tell you how much I love you. So give me 1 second. Yes, my first new patron, Catherine Carney. Now, some of you may know, Catherine's my girlfriend. Yes, and so that she does hold a significant special spot in my heart, but she has been a really big champion for me, and that's the tier reward she's in. When it comes to teaching, she's helped me revitalize the fact that I'm doing good things with these young people, and I'm teaching them how to use their creativity to become the next innovators of our next generation. These can be our leaders, our storytellers, our creative people. South Dakota, Iowa, the Midwest, everywhere. If we enable these young people, can be leaders in our future generations. And she's really helping me remember that. So thanks, Catherine. Next one, Carol Jacobson. My mommy. She's always been there since the day that I was making $7 a month, even. But she's really jumped up, and she's in the champions tier right now. And honestly, I always say, like, when I'm podcasting, hey, this is Art Beat. I know my mom will listen, or I got this comic book out. I know my mom will buy one. But it is really nice to have my family there. Not everyone can say that their mom is in their corner. So thanks, Mom. I really dig that. In our heroes tier, Jonathan Bly, better known as Bobley. We used to video podcast a lot together, and I haven't seen him in a long while, and that's a damn shame. But I have been super busy and going all over the state, coming up with all these things and trying to figure out what to do. And I want to thank you for being my patron. I know that your life is a very interesting one, and you're married, and you have a lot going on, and yet you still find time to support me, and I dig that so much. Let's see each other soon. Bill Peterson. I almost roll a tear every time I see your name, because, Bill, you were the first person to find me as an artist, as somebody you wanted to look into in your creativity. And you have a very intricate, interesting life, and I deeply, deeply appreciate your support. I don't know where I'd be without you. It's been incredible. Thank God for Alan Montgomery for connecting the two of us. Chad Thorson. Chad, at the beginning of the year, I handed you your comic book for Champions Issue 1, or actually all 4. I think you got all 4. Anyway, I gave you the books, and I thanked you deeply, and I said, I need more money in my life. I don't know how I'm going to make this next book happen. I think I need a new job. And you said, you don't need a new job, Dylan. You have a career, so you need to focus on that. That's what we're doing right now. Thanks, Chad. I don't think I'd have a book without you. Sharon Voss. That makes you my aunt, right? And you just had a baby, which is really, really neat. And I don't know where I'd be without family support, like I said, with my mom. But to even have extended family in there showing that you care about carrying this vision is a huge deal. So we have a lot of stuff to make this year. Excuse me. Heidi Namkin. Heidi, you've been there since like the very beginning, which has been crazy to have you on board, because you are another creative person working in an exceedingly difficult creative field, and you are now a Reiki therapist. And I think that things are really turning out for you. It's been a little while since we've talked, so hit me up, because we met kind of just as artists on Instagram and got through some stuff at Community Ed together, and that kind of bonded us. And it's nice to have an older person who's seen a little further down the road, like yourself, in my corner, in our corner. And we're building this dream, we're carrying this flag, and I don't think I'd be anywhere without you. Thanks. Let's jump down to our sidekicks. These are some the other tiers. Sarah Bainter. Whoa, what a weird year, huh? Well, I hope everything's going all right. I know things have been incredibly difficult and intrepid for the both of us. We experienced a lot of weird crap together during the summer, so hopefully things are working out. I know things are always difficult, and you always have to fight, and that's what we're about. Fighting that good fight. Keeping things real, keeping going. Nicole Allen, you run the Black Collective, and when we started Art Beat, you were right there, one of the very first guests, and we talked about poetry and creativity and all of the things that go into speaking, and here I am, just ejaculating words out of my mouth. It's crazy. I kind of owe some of that to you, so I love having you in my corner, and I'm going to stay in the Black Collective's corner too, so keep me up on things, and we'll work together. Jordan Thornton, what a colleague. Back in the day when I was unemployed, I would go to cafe, and I would sit down and drink some coffee and doodle a little bit and pretend that I didn't have to worry about having a day job. And Jordan Thornton would work at cafe and pour coffee for me sometimes, or make up, bars or brownies or whatever. And, it was just there, and I didn't really realize she was an artist. And now we're in the Arts Council together. And what a printmaker. Holy crap. I'm glad to be your patron, and I'm glad you're mine. Rob Melling, you run the Sioux Empire podcast, and I really want to be on that again because it was a blast, and you guys were one of the early supporters about me just being a vocal person, and that has been huge, crazy, big. Thanks for your support. Holy crap, wow. Hey, Amy Jarding, you're the next one, and I remember talking about you earlier because you were one of the first people to support me when I started doing The Good Fight. Wow, I can talk fast. It's because I listened to some ska. Anyway, when you said that you could tell what the stories were about, and that's why you were interested in being my patron, that hit home. That's one of the major reasons why there's a This Is My Private Life comic concept in my noodle on the paper, on this computer thing right here. Bill Peterson is on there again. He's got 2 support accounts, but we'll just skip on to the next one. Claudia, you are someone that I wouldn't have met with if Chad Thorson didn't send me down to Jam Art and Supply as a talk to Jess, who I didn't realize I went to high school with, and signed up for a class with you, and learn how to market myself a little better, be a little more confident in my work, and start doing stuff on the sidewalk, and start doing stuff with the Arts Council, and do more stuff with Community Ed, and just do more stuff in general. I really needed your support. I know I came to you and I was like, I want to just do this and nothing else, and how do we make that happen? And you're like, well, it doesn't look super feasible right now, but let's think. And I've been thinking a lot. I've got a lot of cool business plans. So if you want to meet up sometime, let's have some coffee. Especially when I come down for a beer on Thursday night. Hey Ryan Howard, you've been kind of a sleeper agent in the South Dakota art scene. I know you've been struggling a little bit as an artist. You do have your own Patreon, so if people want to check out another artist who's been from around here, I think you moved to Minneapolis, but you've been a big supporter even though you're in just the support tier. It doesn't take a whole lot to be the bomb. So thank you so much. Seth Anderson, you are someone I went to college with, and you know what? We were kind of fringy friends now, or back then, and now we're a little closer, because to me, you're still Old Man Callahan from Dungeons and Dragons. But I can't believe how much support you've given folks like me and Travis and some of the other artists like Lacey, who I'll talk about next. And it's been really cool to have you in our life, even though we've joked that you would just put the work of ours on a desk somewhere and it might not hang up for a long time. But to have someone young who knows that we're creating this work and we care, that's a big deal. I just pulled hair out of my head. Anyway, thanks, Seth. I don't think we'd be anywhere without you. Glacial Barton, my colorist. I remember one time in college, I was like, Lacey, someday I'm going to make a real comic book, and you're going to color it. We'll be grown-ups then. Well, that happened, so we must be grown-ups now, and I can't believe you're my patron because I'm also yours. And that's a fun way to be, to go a little back and forth on this. So thank you so much. I don't know where I'd be without all my patrons. I only have one left. Ivan, the man I have never met, the only man on my list I have never seen before. You came to me and said, I like what you're doing. I want to see you progress. I'm going to give you a couple bucks a month. Good luck, kid. And thank you. It's been intrepid. I've been cavalier. But once again, each person supporting me is just building upon this dream and getting this message out there. And we're really carrying a lot of weight. So thank you so much. And I know 2017 is going to be a huge ordeal because I'm going to focus on making books, writing some more, teaching a hell of a lot more, and getting involved as potentially a speaker. What are we doing? It's going to be a big deal. So thanks for sticking in there this year. I know we've had a lot of interesting stuff go down. It's really turned around. There's a lot to be said. And I think that all of you as patrons will really get to appreciate some really cool stuff soon. Like the posters coming out pretty soon. It's at the print shop right now. I can't wait to show you the next couple pages. I'm really excited to get this stuff to you, and I'm so sorry there was a delay, but thanks for hanging in there, because sometimes an artist has got to live life, and you're living it with me. We're carrying a dream together. Thank you so much. If you want to check out my work over at patreon.com/Dylan, that's DYLAN, you certainly can. Otherwise, I'm over at DylanJJacobson.com if you want to check out some of my residency work. I've got some cool stuff we made with a bunch of kids this year. I've worked with over 1,000, well, not over, but about 1,000 students this year, and that's been insane. And I wouldn't have been able to join the Arts Council without glowing recommendations from cats like you. So, thanks. I'll see you later.